Hey everybody, this is Womp Gaming. This is sort of a new channel. I've done some other videos in the past, but this is going to be my first venture into Lorcana. I've been playing for a little while now, and I feel like I've seen a few posts on some of the Facebook groups, people asking about how to play, where to begin. And there are some videos out there, but not a lot of people are doing like 101 videos anymore. So I'm going to try to venture into that realm, see if you like it. If you do like it, like and subscribe if you want to. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see in the videos, and we'll go from there. But we're going to start with the very basics today. We're going to go over kind of what the parts of a Lorcana card are, the types of Lorcana cards, and what you would do in a normal turn, like sequencing. So if you've played any other TCGs, like Magic or Pokemon or anything like that, it's kind of similar. Keywords are different, so you'll notice some of the similarities with that. So we're going to go ahead and get into the first part of this video, the types of cards. So the main things you're going to be dealing with are the characters. So you have characters here, and I have two here for a reason. We'll get into that in a minute. And then up at the top here, we have two different types of actions, an item, and a location. So the two different types of actions are an action and an action song. And we'll get into that as well. But first, we're going to get into these characters because that is what you're going to be dealing the most with. So we'll go ahead and get into the basics here. So characters, they're the most common cards in Lorcana. If you know at least a little bit about it, the goal of the game is to get to 20 lore. Character cards can do a multitude of things. They can do things during your turn, such as challenge, quest to gain you the lore to get to 20 lore, and they can also sing the songs. So we'll get to that all in a little bit. But we'll get into the basics here. So at the top left here, you'll see this character has a gold border. This character does not. That means under normal circumstances, you would see this character would be inkable. This character would not be inkable. Ink is basically your mana or your resource that you use to pay for other cards. Ink resets at the beginning of every turn, unless for some reason you would not be able to ready your ink. Under normal circumstances, everything would be readied at the beginning of your turn, so they can be used multiple turns in a row. So this card is inkable. This card is not. This card costs 6 ink. So under normal circumstances, you would need 6 ink in your ink well to be able to play this card onto the field. This character costs 5. You would need 5 ink to play that card. He is not inkable. You could use this card as an ink resource. One thing you do have to remember, once you ink that character, it is gone for the rest of the game. Unless you have cards that can bring cards out of your inkwell. We'll venture into that at a later time. That's not important to the basics of the game. This card can be inked. Once it's inked, you will place it face down into your inkwell, and that is considered a private zone. So the inkwell you cannot look at, your opponent cannot look at. Once it is face down into your inkwell, nobody can know what you've inked for the remainder of the game. So what I like to do on a normal turn is, depending on how the turn goes. If it's turn 1, I'm going to say I'm going to ink this card, and then if I have a character that costs 1, you can exert that ink, and you can play a 1 cost, like this action up here. You can play that if you wanted to. There's no reason to play that action for 1, but if you had a 1 cost character, you could play the 1 cost character. And then after I've played it, I will flip it upside down so that I'll know that I've inked for the turn and it's used, and you can pass the turn. This character is not inkable. He does have abilities, and we'll get into that at a later time. But I kind of wanted to just focus on basics of a card, stats, lore, all that good stuff. So we've talked about inkable versus uninkable cards, and we've talked about the ink costs of cards. The next thing we're going to talk about is the strength and willpower of a character. So this character's strength is 6. This is effectively how much damage it will do in a challenge, whether it is the challenging character, whether you're challenging somebody, or another character is challenging this character. So this is the damage that will be dealt to the character that is in a challenge with this character. So say this character, this Tyran, was challenging Mickey Mouse here. So Tyran here would do 5 damage to Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse would do 6 damage to Tyran. Or Terran, however you want to say that. The next stat we're going to talk about is willpower. Willpower is the amount of damage this character can receive until it's banished. We don't use, kill or exile or any of those other good terms you may have heard from other TCGs. We don't use graveyard. Anything that is banished means it has taken enough damage to be banished or removed from the game. Will go to the discard pile. That is the if you played Magic, that's basically the graveyard. It will go to the discard pile. So if Mickey Mouse was to challenge Terran, Mickey Mouse would do 6 damage to Terran, and Terran would do 5 damage to Mickey Mouse. So Mickey Mouse would take 5 damage, so he still has 2 willpower left. So he is not banished, but Terran would take 6 damage and is 1 over, so that would be banished. So Terran would leave the field and go to the discard pile, and Mickey Mouse would stay on board with a 5 damage counter on it. And most people will use, dice 1 through 6. If it's more than 7, then use 2 dice. So that covers the basics of strength and willpower. There are cards that can increase and decrease the strength of a character based on certain effects, and we can get into those at a later time, depending on what you all would like to discuss. The last thing we're going to talk about on a character card is the lore pips. So this character. As I mentioned, you can do a few things during your turn. To gain lore from a character, under normal circumstances, you would need to quest with that card. So you would exert it to quest, and you would gain 2 lore from Mickey Mouse. So this would gain you 2 lore towards your 20, towards your maximum goal of 20. So once it's turned sideways or exerted, it can't be used for anything else during that turn, unless you had a card that could ready it, or with Whispers in the Well, we saw the introduction of boost characters. Any ability on the card can still be used if it doesn't exert the character. If exerting the character is not the cost of using the ability, then you can still use that ability. So if I had a character, I don't know if I don't have any set 11 cards. Oh, I have one right here. I have a Kenga. We'll bring Kenga into play. So Kenga, as you can see, has a boost ability of boost 2. So say I quested with Kenga. This is just an example, so you wouldn't want to quest and then boost Kenga. There are certain cards that you could, but Kenga you might not want to. But Kenga, you could quest with Kenga for 2, gain 2 lore, and then you could pay 2 ink and boost Kenga, which would put a card underneath Kenga. That is the boost ability of a card, and we can get into the specifics of that later. And then they would gain this effect. While there is a card under this character, they get +1 more. So then they would quest, essentially they would have 3 lore pips. And there are different types of boost abilities. This one is a static, so while it says while there's a card underneath it, so you don't get +1 for each card underneath it, you just get +1 when there's a card underneath it. So there's no reason to boost this more than once. So that is the basics there. Terran has multiple abilities, and we can get into different keywords in a follow-up video. I would just like to cover the basics of these right now. So we'll move the characters out of play. The next thing I want to talk about are actions. So you notice we have two different types of actions here. We have an action and an action song. As you can see those right there. If it's a song, then it's a different type of action. So normal actions, you have to use the ink cost up here to play them. So you would pay 1 ink, and you would use this card, and you do the effects on it. So this one will bring Mickey Mouse back over here. So chosen character of yours gains resist +2 until the start of my next turn, or until the start of your next turn. So you would say, I'm going to play Nearly Indestructible. I'm going to choose Mickey Mouse as my target. Mickey Mouse now gets the effects of this action. So chosen character of yours gains resist +2 until the start of my next turn. So this means resist is damage dealt minus this much. So if I were to battle, or challenge, sorry, Terran here, so Terran would challenge Mickey, or Mickey Mouse would challenge Terran. So Terran would do 6 damage, Terran would do 5 damage. Because of Nearly Indestructible, Mickey Mouse takes this 5 and takes 2 off of it from the resist. So Mickey Mouse would only take 3 damage from this challenge. And as you can see on the action, it lasts until the start of your next turn. So if something else, when on the opponent's turn, when they go to challenge Mickey Mouse will still have resist +2. So they will be taking 2 less damage from each challenge. Now, we'll move on to, back to this one. So once you use this action, it goes to the discard pile. That is no longer in play, and then it is removed from the game. You've used that card, and it is gone. The next type of card we want to look at is action songs. So say we had Mickey Mouse here in play, and we had another character that was on the field, and the opponent had a character appear. So say Piglet was here on the opponent's side, and he was exerted, and let's bring Kanga back out, and I chose Kanga. I challenged Piglet. Kanga would take 2 damage, Piglet would take 5. Piglet is now banished and would go to the discard pile. And then the opponent has no more cards in play, and you still have Mickey Mouse that is not exerted. And then you have a Marching Off to Battle in your hand. So as you can see here, this are full foil, so it's kind of reflecting off the light. This says a character with cost 4 or more can exert to sing this song for free. And then the effects here. If a character was banished this turn, draw 2 cards. So a character with cost 4 or more. So this is the cost, remember. Mickey Mouse is a 6 cost. So Mickey Mouse is 4 or more. So Mickey Mouse can, quote unquote, sing this song instead of paying ink. You can either pay ink to play the card. You can still pay ink to play these. You don't have to sing them. Or you can have a character sing them. You can't pay 2 ink and have a 2 cost character sing them. You can't do both. You have to do one or the other. So what this means, Mickey Mouse would exert to pay the cost of singing this song, and then you would play it for free, basically, without paying ink. You would use Mickey Mouse to sing this song. So if a character was banished this turn, draw 2 cards. So we know Kanga had banished Piglet, so now we draw 2 cards from our deck. Once that resolves, Marching Off to Battle would go to the discard pile, and then Mickey Mouse and Kanga cannot be used for anything else. Now, if you had just paid 6 ink and played Mickey Mouse, since Marching Off to Battle has the exert symbol on it, Mickey Mouse has to wait until, we call it drying. They're not dry when they hit the field. If you've played Magic, it's Summoning Sickness. They don't have haste. They can't do anything. They don't have rush. They can't do anything when they hit the field. So Mickey Mouse, if he just came on the field this turn, then he could not exert to sing this song. The character has to be dry for us to use them in an exert symbol. You'll notice the difference between Ravensburger will spell out the word exert or use the exert symbol. There are certain effects that will let you exert a character and do an effect, like Stitch Rockstar, for example, from sets 1 and 9. I think it's 1. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you play a character, if Stitch is on the field, and you play a character with cost 2 or less, then you can exert that character and draw a card. So if Mickey Mouse was a cost 2 and I had Stitch Rockstar on the field, because he says exert instead of having the exert symbol, I could exert Mickey Mouse and draw a card from Stitch's effect. And then Mickey Mouse could do nothing else. So drying or dry is defined in the comprehensive rules for Lorcana as being on the field at the start of your turn. So if your opponent has an effect where they let you play a character for free or something, like Return of Hercules is an action that both characters can play, or both players can play a character for free out of their hands. So if Mickey Mouse was here at the start of your turn, then he is considered dry at the start of your turn, no matter if you played it on your last turn or if you played it during your opponent's turn. If he is there at the start of your turn, he is considered dry, and you're allowed to use him for normal actions of a turn. So back to songs. There are different types of songs. This is just a normal song, and it doesn't have any special things. So if you have a character on the field that is cost 4, which you can see up here, cost 4 or more, you can exert that character, as long as they're dry, to sing this song and gain its effects without paying the ink cost. There's another type of song, and it will have sing together, and it should have the definition of that on the card. But just in case it doesn't, sing together songs, you can use multiple characters to sing them. So those are going to be your higher cost songs, typically 8 or more, I believe. There might be one that's a 6. Pirate's Life, I think, is a sing together. So sing togethers. So say if you had an 8 cost song, but you only had a 4 and a 5 cost character, you could use both of those, exert them, and pay the cost for that song if it's a sing together. It has to have sing together on it for it to be used like that. So that covers actions, characters, and action songs. The next thing we're going to get into are items. Items don't follow typical summoning sickness rules. Items and item effects can be used as soon as they hit the field, unless you have to exert the card, and the card says this item enters exerted, so it would enter exerted, and then you would have to wait to ready it to use its ability, unless it doesn't need to be exerted. So we'll get into all of that. For example, we'll use Darkwing's gas device. So when this item comes into play, this has the text exert and pay 1 ink. So you would exert the item and you would pay 1 ink. So chosen character gets -1 strength this turn. So we go back to Kenga. So you could play this item, you could pay 1 ink, exert this card, this item, choose Kenga. Say this is on your opponent's board. You could choose Kenga. We'll say he's exerted for the sake of normalcy here. So you could exert this item, pay 1 ink, choose Kenga. Chosen character gets -1 strength. So Kenga would, for all intents and purposes, be a 4 strength character. It changes their printed cost to a 4 strength. So if I wanted to challenge with Terran here, or Terran, I would challenge Kenga. So Kenga would take 5 damage from Terran. Terran would only take 4 damage from Kenga. due to the gas device effect. So that gives it -1 strength this turn. If it says this turn, that's the difference between this and the action. Since this says this turn, it only lasts until your turn ends. The action, let me pull that back out, nearly indestructible, we can see that this says until the start of your next turn. So that would go through the opponent's turn. This one would only last until the end of your turn. So once your turn is done, these effects dissipate. Also, there's another ability here. If you have a character named Darkwing Duck in play, chosen character gets -2 this turn instead. So if I played this item and I exerted, paid 1 ink, and I had a Darkwing Duck in play, I don't think I have any Darkwings in here. I do. And I had this Darkwing Duck in play, then instead of -1, Kanga would get -2 strength. So they would be a 3 strength, 5 willpower character until the end of my turn. So that's how items work. And items can be used as soon as they enter play, unless the card specifically says you have to exert it and it enters exerted. There's a couple caveats, but under normal circumstances, when you play an item, they do not have summoning sickness, or they do not have to dry before you are able to use those items. So on to the last type of card, we have a location. I'm getting foiling somewhere. So this is Darkwing Tower. This is set 11. So this falls under the same kind of rules. These are inkable. This location costs 4. So notice we have some different numbers on here, and I'll cover those. You notice this has the same symbol as like Kanga, for example. So this is the amount of damage that this location can take before it is banished and moved to the discard pile. So say I have 6 ink here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 ink in play, and I have a Kanga. That's not in play yet. Let me move this back over here because that's going to get confusing. So I have 6 ink. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 ink in play. Everything's readied. It's the start of my turn. I've drawn my card. I'm going to pay 4 ink. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to play a Darkwing Tower. Now you'll notice that this has a lore pip as well. You do not get the lore pips automatically. Those happen at the start of your turn. So all start of a turn effects take place before you draw at the set phase. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But this does not gain lore automatically. So this has 8 willpower. So this can take 8 damage before it's banished or moved to the discard pile. And it has a 1 over here. You'll notice the 1 has a little arrow on top of it. This is the cost to move a character to this location. Some characters get benefits from being at a location. Some locations give benefits to the characters that are there. So say I wanted to move Kanga to Darkwing Tower. So I would pay an additional ink, so that's 5 total, and I would move Kanga to the Darkwing Tower. So Darkwing Tower says, during your turn, when an opposing villain character is banished, you may ready a character here. If you do, they cannot quest for the rest of this turn. So it gives you very specific details on what to do. And you'll hear people say reading the card explains the card, as long as you know what the keywords are. So say I've quested with Kanga, I've gained my 2 lore, and I have, let's say I have a Jasmine in play, and My opponent has... let's see if I can find something that's a villain. Villain. I think I have all allies and heroes in this stack of cards that I chose for this video. I think I did. Oh, I have one. So say my opponent has an exerted scar in play. We'll move these down here for the sake of the video. So this is my opponent's board. This is my board. So I have a Jasmine in play and a Kanga that is at Darkwing Tower. So for all intents and purposes, I've used Jasmine's effect. I've discarded a card. I've given her Challenger +3 this turn. We can get into effects later. Just know that I've given Jasmine an ability to have enough strength to take out the Scar. So I will challenge Scar with Jasmine. Scar would take, with the ability here, 6 damage. Jasmine would take 5, so Jasmine would have 5 damage on her. She lives because she has a 7 willpower. Scar would be banished. And as you can see, Scar is a villain per the tag here. So you can see Storyborn, Villain, and King. So Darkwing Tower says when a villain is banished, so this would take effect now. Scar's banished. So when you have, during your turn, when an opposing villain character is banished, you may ready a character here. If you do, they cannot quest for the rest of this turn. So you would ready them. What happens when you ready them? You can do everything but what the location says, or what the effect says. So the effect says they cannot quest for the rest of this turn. That does not mean they cannot challenge, or they can sing a song, or if they had an ability, they could use that ability, unless it's boost. Boost is only once per turn. So you could, in effect, sing a song with this, or you could challenge another character with this, or you could just leave it readied for strategy so your opponent cannot attack this character. It's all just strategy. So that goes over the locations, and then now I want to kind of switch gears here and go to turn order. So let me get my cards situated back out here again. This is set 11 stuff, set 9 stuff. We'll use this as my deck. So in a normal game of Lorcana, you're going to shuffle your deck. For all intents and purposes, we've shuffled. We offer our deck to our opponent to cut the deck. We have rolled to see who goes first. However you want to do that, you can do high roll, odds, evens, flip a coin, however you want to decide who goes first. You've decided that you're going first, so you will draw your 7 cards, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And per the Lorcana rules, whoever is first turn player gets the choice to mulligan first. So if you're ever, at locals or whatever, it won't matter. But if you're at a high-end competition like a DLC or a CCQ, whoever goes first mulligans first. And it is based on strategy. Your opponent might get upset. They could call a judge if you mulligan before them. It is a rule that you're not allowed to mulligan first if you're going second. Just a little basic etiquette there. So you draw your 7 cards. What I typically do is order them in ink cost, so I'll know how to manage my plays. Some people will organize them ink costs and then actions, items, whatever at the end. And then you notice I have not a single 1, 2, or 3 drop or 3 cost character in this hand. So more than likely I'm going to get rid of all 7 cards. So what I would do is I would say I'm going to mulligan 7. I would stick those on the bottom of my deck. I would draw 7 more cards. And then I would reshuffle my deck. Now, some of you may be used to the MTG way of mulliganing, where you have to bottom a card after each mulligan. You do not have to do that with Lorcana. You mulligan 7, mulligan as many as you want. You don't have. You can mulligan 1, you can mulligan 2, you can mulligan all 7 if you want. But you do not have to bottom a card after you mulligan. But you only get one mulligan. So you'll notice here, I still also now have no 1s and 2 drops. So that's unfortunate, but that is to be expected because this is just a random set of cards that I pulled out. So we have a 3 cost, a few 4 costs here, and some 5 costs. So now you've cut your deck, you've mulliganed, you've reshuffled everything, your opponent has done the same. Now we can start playing. Since you have chosen to go first, you do not draw in a 2-player game. Whoever goes first does not draw. So that is the benefit or the one kind of catch-up maneuver that they use for the second place player or the second player to go, second turn player, if they get to draw a card on the turn and first player does not. So for my first turn, I would use my turn. So ready, and then set. I don't have any characters on the board to ready. I don't have anything to set. I don't have any abilities that would need to resolve. It's first turn. So we skip the draw phase on turn 1. So then we would ink a card. We would put a card in our inkwell. So I'm going to say, I'm going to ink this Aurora. And then once I know I've inked it, flip it upside down. And then I would pass the turn because I cannot play any cards. So for turn 2, your opponent's played, and it passes it back to you. They've played a card. So now it's your turn again. So now we go through the ready, still no characters to ready, set, we have no characters' abilities to resolve in the set phase, then we would draw for our second turn. So we would draw a card. So now we have an item to play. So we would go through, and I'll say I have 2 Mulans here in my hand. So I'll say I'm going to ink this Mulan. So that gives me a total of 2 ink here. And I have kept this one flipped up, so I'll know that I have inked for my turn. And I'll say I am going to spend 2 to play Lantern. Some people do things a little bit differently, and they released I think they changed the comprehensive rules last set in set 10, where as long as you get to the same order of operations or the same finale, that the order of operations does not matter when playing a card and inking, or exerting your ink and playing a card. So you could either say, you could have your ink exerted or readied, and you could say, I'm going to play a Lantern, pay 2 for the Lantern. You could either do it like that, or you could have the Lantern in your hand, and you could say, I'm going to exert 2 ink, and I'm going to play this Lantern. So this is an item. This item's ability is available to use right now. Lantern says you exert it, and then you pay 1 ink less for the next character you play this turn. So if you had a 1-cost character in your hand, you could, right now on this turn, exert this, pay 1 ink less, and play that 1-cost character for free, basically. You're using the Lantern as the cost. So that is the ready, set, draw phase of a card, or of a turn. We're going to go through 1 more round, or 2 more rounds, so you know, exert, when to exert and when to ready your cards if they have any set abilities, stuff like that. So your opponent has ended their turn, passed it back to you. So now I'm in the ready phase. So ready, I would ready any characters, items on the board, and then I would ready my ink. So I have 2 ready ink and 1 item that is ready to use. Set, I still have no characters on the board for ability to resolve, so then I would go to my draw phase. Draw a card. I'm going to ink this other Mulan, so now I have 3 available ink and an item I could use. So, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I would say I'm going to spend 3 ink, and I'm going to activate Lantern. So I'm going to exert this, and then you use its effect, I pay 1 less ink for the next character I play on this turn. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could play a 4-cost character with the 3 ink and the lantern. So if you have questions about that, feel free to comment that. But this is 3 ink and a lantern, totaling 4. This is basically another ink that you can use that's just on the field at all times. You don't have to ink it, and you can use it multiple times. So I would pay my 3 ink and exert the lantern and pay its cost to play the 4-cost Peter Pan Shadow for my turn 3 play. So that covers that. I don't think I have anything with any set abilities on it. Let me see if I can find something with a set ability. Do I have anything at the start of my turn? I don't think I have anything in here at the start of my turn. I'm not sure that set 9 had a lot of those anyways. Yeah, well, we can cover that if it's too confusing for anybody. But that's the basics of a turn. So we go through the ready, set, draw phase. It's now back to me. So I would then ready my 3 ink, ready my lantern, no set effects on Peter Pan, and then I would go to my draw phase and draw a card. And it just repeats and repeats until somebody gets to 20 lore, or till somebody concedes. That is a possibility as well. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video for today. I think we have covered the types of cards, actions, items, action songs, characters, and locations. We've covered the basics of a turn, how to start a game. If there's anything else you all want to talk about in the next video, feel free to comment that, and we can definitely see about covering those. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video now. But again, I'm Womp Gaming, Josh. So if you see me posted in the Facebook groups, just comment on my post, let me know what you want to see, and we can go over it. So thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button to let me know you liked it. Thanks.